I'm just gonna come right out and say it. I was never a big Dark Souls guy, mostly because I like my goals to be attainable in video games while going through as little stress as possible. But hey, if completing Sekiro taught me anything, it's that game would have been a lot easier if I had a gun. Gunfire Games Remnant from the Ashes is basically that Dark Souls difficulty with cover-based shooting. It's also got a lot more to it than that, as you're about to find out while I talk about my thoughts, feelings and experiences on this Souls-like shooter. Let's take a crack at it. If you're familiar with Dark Souls settings, then you should expect something pretty bleak, and yeah, the game ticks that box. It takes place in an apocalyptic future where a race of demonic creatures known as the Root have whittled down human life to a select few. It's not all that bleak though, mostly because you're not completely on your own. You wind up joining Ward 13, a resistance group bent on stopping the Root, or rather, outlasting the Root. Thankfully, Ward 13 will help you with that by providing resources and free room and board, so it's all good. And now for the aesthetics part. The graphics almost have a comic book-like charm to them, with the sort of steampunk feel adding a lot to it. The environments have really good designs as well, and the music really ramps up the intensity in certain points in the game. Okay, mostly the points involving giant boss monsters. Initially, the story of the game is a pretty simple one. You create a character, you start fighting the Root, you either make it to Ward 13 or fall before then, and you get rescued by people that work for Ward 13. After that point, your main goal is to find a way back home, or it seems like that at first. The game shifts from a simple goal of survival and escape to uncovering the secrets of Ward 13. Some of the story is told through bits of character dialogue, but most of it comes from files you can find on computers. You find out a lot which pays off way later, especially by the time you reach the game's climax. With that comes the expansion of the world too. You discover a place known as the Labyrinth, which has portals that let you go to different worlds and meet other characters. The best part, all of that ties into the main story, at least in some tangential way, and a bonus is getting to look at pretty new environments, obviously. In true video game fashion, your main character doesn't have a name, but they do have a voice. You can make up your own name and more of a lore, but for me, a serial killer boy, I chose the path of fighting the Root not to get back home, but because they stole my breakfast. The game does have some characters though. There is a fair amount of them that are merchants, like the Peppy Ace, the Grumpy McCabe, the Badass Riggs, and my favourite in Reggie. There's even merchants in other worlds of the game who all have their own personalities and even unique items as well. While Commander Ford herself is a solid character with the big skull, I had a fondness for the more otherworldly types in this game. The Skull Queen, Wood, the Keeper of the Labyrinth, and even the Root Mother herself all make for interesting stories, even if their goals don't affect your own too heavily. Okay, real talk, this is where the game gets a lot of its praise. It is a third-person shooter, and at the start you get to pick what range style you prefer, short, medium, or long. I went for long range because I like being accurate over being powerful, and also it gives me a more valid excuse to stay away from the things that actually want me dead. You get to pick a lot of different types of items, weapons, and mods for said weapons and your armor, and that can change how you play. There are certain traits you can put experience points into as well, and a lot of the mods have a different variety of status effects, much like status effects will have on you in return. Balance. It's not just how you kit it out that decides if you win or lose. There's a lot of strategy involved, and exploiting weak points to do the most damage is never unsatisfying. Isn't that the fact that the world is procedurally generated every time you play it, so you get new paths each time, and the possibilities are endless. On the surface level, Remnant is a game that shouldn't work as well as it does. A Souls-like third-person shooter is all well and good, but that's not all that the game is. It's got a lot more depth than it may first appear, and it turns what could have been a tasteless experience into one worth savouring and going back for. The game isn't perfect, it's got its issues, none of which are the difficulty. I mean, that's kind of the main selling point. The music isn't always memorable, and not all the abilities or even items are fully useful. And some of the characters are, again, just sort of there, but I give voice acting MVP to Reggie anyway because I like him and I just want him to read me a bedtime story. But when the game shines, it shimmers. For starters, I fucking love the boss design, striking a great balance of horrific and fantastical. And the combat is dizzyingly brilliant, with the mods adding so much to those, and if you combine those with an enemy's weak spot and you can breeze through it, if you're good enough. I give this game an overall score of 8 out of 10. Again, I know I've brought it up a lot by this point, but Souls-like difficult plus badass weapons plus cool apocalyptic setting equals a damn fun time. The story is simple but built on well, the combat is incredibly engaging and rewarding if you do it right, and it's also just gosh dang pretty and terrifying to look at the same time. But that'll about do it for this game review. Obviously I recommend this game even though it's a couple of years old, but it's still a hell of a lot of fun. Strikingly difficult, yes, but still goddamn good. As for what's next from me, well, Break Even 4. Tomorrow night. That's going to be good. I'm really looking forward to doing that, and then some point after that I've got to get to work back on backtracking for whatever band I'm doing for that. Ghost! That's what I'm doing Ghost. So yeah, I'll be doing that pretty soon, and after Break Even 4, probably for the night review. I don't really know what will be next. Just going with the flow as always. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video as well, because it's been a while since I've done one of these, and I will try and knock these out a bit more frequently in the future. And as always, thank you for watching, you're awesome. Bye bye.